Hello and welcome to my Python function tutorial. In this video we'll be learning all about functions in Python. So first of all, what is a function? So you've probably used them before, I'm sure you have. They're chunks of reusable code. Usually they take in a bit of data and then return a result, but not always. We're going to go right into making functions. So this is the basic kind of skeleton of a function. This is the format. You've got this def, the function name, and then usually a list of arguments, and then a colon, and then you'll have your indentation that will define what that block and that function is, and then you'll usually have several statements. Remember, this is just kind of the framework. It's kind of an abstract idea. So here is a very simple function. So it's going to be called hello. So we've got def, then your hello, and then your parentheses and a colon. Your next couple lines are indented. And what we're going to do is we're going to assign the string hello world to the variable message, and then we're going to return message, and then we're going to call it. And then it returns that string, or the value of this variable. And returns the value of the variable, so returns the value of the variable. So here we go, we've got that same function, and we're going to assign that to x. So hello is going to return the value of message, and then we're going to assign that return value to x and then print that out, and it does the same thing. And this example here is really just what you would get if you were running it on the interactive console, which I've been using so I can make space a little bit more efficient. So we can also see in this example of how you can kind of nest these functions together. So if we look, there is the hello function, and then that is within the print function. So what it's going to do is it's going to find the innermost functions and execute those first and then use those. So hello resolves first, and then that goes to print. So we have function arguments. So we have a new function here, which we called triple. So triple is going to take an argument, and that argument is going to be number. It is going to take that number and multiply by 3, triple it, assign that to a result, then it's going to return that result. So here we go, triple. We're going to give it 3, and we'll give it 9. Makes sense. When we've done it like this, the argument, this number, is required. So if we have that same exact function, and then we call that function with no arguments, it's going to fail because it needs that argument. Now we can change that by giving that argument a default value. So in this example, we're going to say the default value for a number is 0. So then you can actually call triple with no argument. Triple is going to say, okay, well, you didn't give me a number, so we're just going to say it's 0, and then we're going to do the math, and well, 0 tripled is still 0. So that your default function arguments. You can also have multiple arguments. I'm sure you've seen these. So we have multiply, and we've got a variable a and a variable b, and we're just going to return the value of those two multiplied together. Seems reasonable, right? Hopefully. Now we can also do default arguments like this. So in this example, our default value for b is going to be 0, right? So we can actually do multiply 3. So that 3 there is going to be the value of a, and because we didn't specify a second positional argument, it's just going to say 0. Does that make sense? Hopefully it makes sense. And then we can go back, we can override that b. So that b equals 0 only happens when you don't give a second argument. If you do give a second argument, like 3 and 2, it actually does multiply them correctly. And this is where we get into our thing of the positional arguments. So we're going to change up our function and have it be a subtract function. So subtract takes a and b, and then subtracts b from a. So if we do this here, so we do 1, so this is going to be 1 minus 2, we get negative 1. Because these are positional. So this function, or calling this function, is going to match with this. So 1 is a, 2 is b, and that is positional argument values. So that's how it works. So it's going to go in their position and map it out, unless of course they're they have a default value. Now we can change that by saying the keyword argument. So now we're going to refer to these by their keywords. So, and we're going to be doing the reverse order. So you saw how we did 1, 2. Now we're actually just going to specify B equals 1 and A equals 2. Now the positions don't matter so much, or don't matter at all. The function is going to take those keywords and assign them. And now we get 1. There is also arbitrary argument lists. So these guys are going to be essentially a whole bunch of arguments, a list. So here we go. We've got fruit totals. And so we've got a fruit, and then we've got the star, and then there's going to be a number of arguments. And then we're going to it's going to be given to us as a list. So we're going to use sum, and that's just going to add up an entire list. And then we're going to just make a little, we're going to take the number and then say plus total fruit. So we don't pass, when we're calling this function, we don't put this into a list. Instead, you just have it be separated by the commas, and you can have as many as you want. We could have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It could be a completely arbitrary number. But everything after this one, the first one, is going to be considered part of this star counts. And that star counts is going to be treated as a list. So here, playing with some functions. So you can actually assign functions to variables. So we've got our triple here. This was our function we made before. So we actually can say triple, no parentheses, no values, equals math thing. And then we can actually call math thing with a argument and get a tripled result. So we basically can assign a function to a variable and then call it. You can also have functions within functions. So we've got def hello, and then def greeting, and then within the hello function, we are going to call the greeting function, and then that will give us the result. It's important to note that this greeting function is not available to anyone outside of this function. You can also pass functions as arguments, so this one is going to be a little bit odd to you, maybe. So we've got our triple and our double function. And then we've got a function here called function caller. And it's going to also take a number, but it's also going to accept a function. And then it's going to return the result of that function when it's given the number. So we can call function caller 5 and then just tell it triple, and it will run. Oop. Oh yes, sorry. We call triple, and then we can also call double, and it will run both times. So you can use functions as arguments. So yeah, hopefully this was useful for you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I hope that video was useful. If you liked it, hit that like button. And if you want to see more of these videos, please hit the subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comments below. Thank you.